Hello, my friends. In the shop today, I'm about to do some barrel bedding right here at the barrel tuner portion on my Brno Model 4. So this is because over the years the contact portion has compressed on the walnut stock inside the barrel channel, and so there's some free movement. I don't know if you can see that, but I can feel it. It's not contacting the stock properly, so I'm going to bed it just in time for my shooting session tomorrow. So I thought I'd take you guys through the process of what's involved with bedding this portion of the stock. I think technically it would be called a skim bed, but bedding, epoxy bedding, skim bedding is can be, several different things. Thick layer, thin layer. This would be a thin layer because it's mainly to replace the compressed portion of the wood that's happened over the years, replace it rather, and make for a non-compressible surface for the future. So I'm going to pause this one here. I'm going to get it out of the stock and get started in showing you how I go about this. Okay, so I've got the barrel channel prepped, and the best way to do that is to use a socket that mimics the size of the barrel with sandpaper added, of course, so you'll have to kind of play around with it. So you wrap it around, and I sanded the barrel contact portion right here until I got deep into some bare wood, and you want to remove quite a bit, so you make sure you get rid of all the oils, etc. And then what you basically do is you create some dams on either side of the barrel portion. I use modeling clay and I plasticine, and I block the barrel tuning screw hole, and then I created dams on either side, and then you're going to fill them up with epoxy of your choice. And then on the barrel portion, I add 2 layers of tape. You make sure to wax them really good as a release agent, and you want to use 2 layers of tape because you want to create some free space so you can tune. If it's like a bang on portion, you're not going to have a lot of room, and it's going to be deep into the bedding, so you want to create kind of like a skim separation between the two, so you have the option to run it up and down as much as you can. And then when you epoxy this, you're going to install the rear action screws, so here and here, and leave this out while the epoxy cures, and then you'll create and fill that space, that void that's missing from the compressed wood. So that's kind of like how I would prep this. Lots of release agent, wax in this case, and use an epoxy of your choice on good quality. And you're basically just going to fill this up, install the whole barreled action, let it cure, and pull it off and have some cleanup, but you should have a bedded portion there. So I'm going to pause this one here. I'm going to get to mixing some epoxy, and I'll check back in with you when I get it all done. Alright, so I got it all out of this tape. So you can see here that my bedding, I haven't cleaned up any of the edges, I'm sorry, but is totally invisible. And that's because I chose a clear epoxy because of the vintageness of this rifle. You can see on the edges I have a little bit of masking tape there. Still have to clean up the clay and stuff, but it makes it essentially like a wood buildup. And so that's essentially what you want, in my opinion, for something like this. Now you could choose a JB weld or anything like that, but if you do a clear epoxy properly, it will show through with no bubbles, the wood grain underneath, and it essentially looks like it's never there. But you can see from the edges, you can see right there on the edge there, that's epoxy. And once you clean up where the tape was and the clay, it makes for an almost seamless wood buildup. And for a rifle like this that deserves it, to the untrained eye, it looks like the wood was basically not crushed at all. And so that's what I was hoping for. It turned out really well. Still got to clean it up, of course. But this filled in quite a bit. I would say a couple of business cards thickness from the factory missing over the years, and this will definitely help restore this pressure pad to the factory settings. But anyway, I'm going to pause this here. I'm going to get it all cleaned up, and I'll check back in with you guys. Alright, so I got the barrel block bedded and back together with the screw. And so basically I have a feeling that this is going to need to be done again, because I did add a few layers of tape to allow for some spacing And I think that's probably, I erred on the side of caution and added too much tape. So I think I actually might need to skim bed it again to bring up the layer, because what you don't want to do, because this wood was so crushed, what you don't want to do is add too much tape to reduce that space that's already reduced from being crushed. And so the barrel has to squeeze, and you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but can you hear it? So that's how much room is between the bedding point and the barrel. Now there has to be some, because the point of this tuner is to pull the barrel spring-loaded pressure into this barrel, stock pad here. So there has to be, it can't be rigid like when you bed an action with screws where it doesn't move. This has to be allowed to be moved and tuned. So it's kind of like a fine line of too much or too little. So I erred on the side of too little, and it might be bang on. We're going to find out. So basically, we want to be able to move this screw through a full range of motion. It'll adjust the harmonic. So I erred on the side of caution and added just a skim bedding, and I think it's going to be good, but we'll find out. I'm going to shoot it tomorrow, and we'll see. Pretty simple affair to skim bed another layer, but anyway, I replaced that. You can there you go. You can see that little bit of skim bedding on the edges, and it wraps all the way around, and at the very least, you have a non-crushable surface on this barrel pad. So anyway, I'm going to leave this one here. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I'll do my best to answer them as always. If not, I will catch you guys at the next one.